Hello, I'm Duane Hulbert, and welcome to Learn and Love Music. Today we're going to look at one of the most famous pieces ever written for piano and orchestra, or for solo piano even. This is George Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue. Very recognizable, and of course most people know that opening riff as a clarinet solo. But today we're going to look at a solo piano version of it. Gershwin wrote many different versions of this, including one for two pianos, one for orchestra and piano, and one for jazz band and piano. It's a marvelous piece. What we're going to do is look at a lot of the themes and figure out what makes this such a great piece. Before we go on though, I want to encourage all of you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, Learn and Love Music. So make sure you click that subscribe button because it's really important to us. So let's get started with Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue. So we're going to start by looking at that opening theme of George Gershwin. This right off the bat, he uses this theme again and again, and each time it's sort of a wonderful exploration into how many different ways can you treat a theme. And so even in the first 2 or 3 pages of the piece, we hear it at least 4 times. So let's listen to some of the different treatments that George Gershwin uses. Of course, we started out with the clarinet solo in the beginning, which does this. Notice blues notes. And later on, that is the clarinet solo, it goes up to another key. I love these chords. They just really want to be resolved beautifully. And he does some other treatments of that same theme later on with the piano. Another gliss that goes up. This one. So many different keys. It's sort of this puzzle that he puts together, unlike any other composer, of using so many different themes. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to look at a second theme too that comes up right away. And I'm going to name each one of these themes because it helps you understand how the piece is put together. One of the other themes that I like is what I call the shuffling city theme. And it goes something like this. Starts on the second page. And he also does it this way. Having lived in New York City for 8 years, I know what the sound of the city is, and this is the sound of the city, that shuffling city theme. So you'll be listening to this along with that opening theme, and so we're going to put all these pieces together. Now we're going to talk a little bit about how Gershwin combines the different themes and the different instruments. Here we have a spot where the muted trumpet sounds, a very distinctive. So that happens a lot in this piece. And also underneath the muted trumpet, you hear the bustling city underneath. It's that's what the saxophone's making, that kind of jazzy, offbeat sound. And then what he'll do is he'll bring in the clarinet solo on top of that busy theme. And then he'll come back after that section and you'll hear the clarinet solo. So it's really interesting. All the instruments are kind of melding together. We've got the trumpet, we've got the saxophones, we've got the clarinet. So I'm going to take you through this kind of fun section of Rhapsody in Blue. Here we'll start out with the muted trumpets. Sax. to that wild opening theme of Rhapsody in Blue. So you can see he puts all the different parts together. Of course, with solo piano, you need to be a little creative and try to imagine those orchestral sounds. Next, we're going to hear the wild piano and full orchestra sound of this theme that we heard in the very beginning. And then there's going to be a piano cadenza with some fast notes and arpeggios and all of that, followed by a big stop. Gershwin loves to have these big stops because something really important is going to happen. So then we hear the wah-wah trombone. And of course, those of you that know a lot about trombone playing and mutes, everybody knows that the wah-wah comes from a mute that looks like a toilet plunger. Yes, they use a toilet plunger to make that sound. So we're going to listen to the big piano solo that leads into the grand entrance of the wah-wah trombone. So let's talk about blues notes. When we hear the trombone play this theme, this is a blue note. This is another one. If we didn't do blue notes, it would sound... very interesting, but the blues notes make it really fascinating. And then in the next section, you'll hear that same theme with kind of a shuffling blues notes. Another blues notes. Very distinctive, very George Gershwin. In a few places in Rhapsody in Blue, the piano has an opportunity to show off, kind of like a piano concerto. Now Gershwin didn't want this to be a piano concerto, but this little section reminds us very much of the romantic piano solo. But with Gershwin, he uses the big theme that we heard in the beginning, but then the left hand does this. You put it together. And you'll recognize that as the clarinet solo. So now the piano takes charge and brings us through this, I guess you'd call it sort of like a cadenza. And at the end of this cadenza, everything comes to a stop, and then we hear the beautiful middle section, the lyrical middle section of the piece. So let's listen to the cadenza portion of, the wild cadenza portion of Rhapsody in Blue with piano solo. Now we get to the most beautiful part of Rhapsody in Blue. the theme in E major, lyrical, unlike any other part of the piece. It is very recognizable, and it just really, Gershwin pours his heart out in this beautiful music. So what makes this middle theme so beautiful? It's the theme that has an octave leap going down, and then an inner part and of course it builds up to a fantastic climax toward the end of that theme where we hear violin solo in a different key, but then the big theme of the full orchestra and that same busy. Combines that sort of a hustle and bustle of the city with this beautiful lyrical theme. Very clever the way he puts this all together. Now I want to walk you through the transition from the slow section back into the grand finale, the grand finish of this piece. At the end of the slow section, we hear this beautiful theme reiterated again. Kind of a transition music. I think of like walking music. And he leaves us kind of hanging. And he gives us a little bit of a touch of what's coming next. We hear this fast rhythm that goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And another one, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And then he begins this whole toccata section with that same rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, And it's a great toccata piece. Of course, classical musicians know toccatas as technical pieces that require a lot of repetition work and technique and all of that. And Gershwin even throws in the polyrhythms with this. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and it creates a tremendous amount of energy. And now for the grand finale. Gershwin ties everything together by going back to the beginning of the piece, and we remember this theme from the very beginning with the clarinet solo. We remember that theme, and also remember the clarinet later on that does this on that very first page. So, to sort of draw everything together at the end, Gershwin takes those two ideas and puts them together. So here is the grand finale with this theme and let's hear this ending now. Thanks for watching Learn and Love Music with Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue. Be sure to watch the companion video where I'll be playing Rhapsody in Blue in its entirety in the solo piano version. So, hope to see you next time on Learn and Love Music.